We are in the historic Montlake district in Seattle proper. And this area has been really around since the early 1920s. And this house that we're going to see today was built in 1925. The story goes that the couple that owned this whole corner, when they got a divorce, she, instead of getting half the house, got half the lot. And so the story goes that she decided to build a house to block his view in the front yard. And that's supposedly how this house got built. And it's kind of pretty accurate if you look at the size of the lot. Yeah, so this is the back door technically. And 55 inches rather, which for me, I'm about 5'3", so my wingspan's about my height and obviously wider than the door.
So what do you call this shape?
I mean, sometimes I call it a cheese wedge. I don't really, I mean, it's a kind of a mild yellow color, so it seems fitting. But yeah, it's 15 feet on one end, 55 inches on the other, and angled on one side. So when you look at it from above, it definitely looks like a wedge of cheese.
What kind?
Yeah, good question, I know. You know, probably not the kind with holes in it, that's all I'll say. Kind of worth noting that this was the original lot, starting with this home. I was actually looking the other day at some of the historical records. Some of the earliest known owners were in the 30s.
This is back when there was probably no busy road here. And
correct, it was actually a dirt road, and now it's a very busy street. And so we're at the wide end, I'm gonna put it in quotes.
So this is the widest it gets?
This is the widest it gets, 15 feet on this side. So you can see how it angles out from here, but this is the narrow side of the house, 55 inches, and really just a door at this end. So the story goes that the original lot was both this home and this home, and that was a bungalow at one point, and that the couple who owned that home got a divorce somewhere in the 20s, and instead of selling and dividing that home's value, they split the lot. And the story goes that the wife received the front yard and that she decided to have a very small home built in the yard to block the view of her now ex-husband, who was clearly her favorite person.
And what do they call it?
They call it the Spite House, the Montlake Spite House. It's had quite a few owners over the years, but everybody's kind of left it intact.
It has a flat iron sort of.
It has exactly that kind of a vibe. You're so right. I loved that building in New York. So supposedly the door is about 55 centimeters wide, so you can see my arm span, which is not very large, pretty much covers it. It's never been touched. This feels like it used to be an outdoor porch potentially, but there's a little stucco on that back wall, but I can't find any photos to verify. So as far as we know, this is the original footprint. And it's in great shape. It's the original stucco, it's the original see-through lathing, everything about it is the original.
It's funny because I think previously the setbacks were probably not what they are now.
No.
I mean, what is...
No, I mean, clearly this gate is less than 3 feet. The setbacks are at least 5 now. So pretty much it runs the fence line up to the front, but it kind of comes to a point, so it's even narrower at the front end.
So these are like his and her houses.
Yeah, that's a good way of looking at it, his and hers. I think, I mean, in today's day and age, that might feel a little disproportionate, but...
Unfortunately, that was probably a sign of the times.
Yeah, that's right. So we can go in, and this is you can see, not a ton of space, just my arms aren't even straight.
And what is that room?
We think it could have been a porch at one point. Today, it's a mud room, if you will. It has original fir flooring in here, and it's angled, which is why we think it could have been a porch, because for drainage, it may have been angled, but we're not sure. And then the other thing that makes us think that is that there's stucco on this interior wall that matches the outside. So we wanted to make this space purposeful. When I bought it, it was pretty much just an empty hole, and we've been in the process of kind of turning this into the drop space, particularly because that front door opens to the main road and it gets a lot of noise and a lot of dust. This has been better. So we've been trying to just make this space useful for what it is, which is a nook.
It's kind of boat-like.
Yes. I always tell people, like, if you could live on a boat, you could live here. If you can imagine, this road at one point was mud, And so the term mudroom was very appropriate in this area because between the rain and the dirt on the roads for a long time. So I can only imagine how much mud there was.
So you might as well make the mudroom the smallest room.
That's right, exactly. Like no more mud necessary than, yeah. And it's also where all the electrical comes into the house, so it feels very utilitarian in that sense. I could imagine at some point maybe there was an old wash bin out here. Yeah. It's great light in here too, which is kind of fun. So it starts from this very narrow door, which is almost like a closet, and it just tapers out. So the back wall is kind of your straight wall, and your front wall kind of starts to angle out towards the corner. And then you get here, and it's much more of a normal sized door, give or take 30 inches. And the living room starts to feel more natural flow. And then once you get to the bedroom, you're kind of in the zone. You know, it's a normal, the bathroom is where the angles get weird again. Makes me think of the bathrooms in New York. I mean, compared to New York, you're just grateful that there's not a toilet in your bedroom. Mm-hmm. So the original reason that I was so excited about this home, I wasn't actively looking. This came on the market, and I have just always loved historically odd homes. I originally went to school for architecture and thought that's what I wanted to be, and so maybe I'm a junkie for it, but the design side of me really thought this was fun, so I just came to tour it solely out of interest for the peculiar nature of it. And I had gone to high school just up the street, so I'd driven by it 100 times and never noticed it growing up. The only thing I would have done differently personally is not put a fridge in the middle, but put the fridge over there so that it wouldn't block the flow. But nonetheless, that was a choice that was made. I lived here full time for the first 2.5 years. Oh, you did? Yeah, and working here, and we would shoot videos for international conferences, but like here, other than the placement of the fridge, which is definitely a blocker, this has been a pretty effective kitchen. And the original kitchen, you can see there's some beadboard here, and then there's some paneling up top there. That is where the original kitchen was. So the kitchen was actually half of what it was even now. This was a dining nook, but the entire kitchen was here back. I mean, less than 10 feet, you know, very small fridge situation. I imagine when they went to remodel this, they couldn't find appliances small enough for that space any longer.
And using it where the flow is okay, I mean, you were kind of opening.
Yeah, the only thing I will say is that when you think about this oven, getting it out of here if it ever broke, I think you'd actually have to remove the fridge, remove the dishwasher, and then take the oven up and out, and maybe even remove the microwave. So there's an order of operations to getting things in and out of here.
It's like one of these games, right?
Yeah, Tetris. That's called a tomorrow problem. It's definitely one of the things you sign up for with a weird house is having to get very creative. I thought I would feel a little more like it was in a fishbowl, but so far it's been pretty private. It's cozy, and it has so many brilliant features with the original windows and the original door.
So main door, this is really where we would come in.
Yeah,
right?
This is the main door. It's a 42-inch wide solid wood door with the original knocker, and has a cool little like box in there that you can.
The knocker? Oh, right.
Yeah, exactly. And you can, hi.
So, oh wait, it opens.
It does.
Door?
It has like almost like all a speakeasy.
Yeah.
That's cool.
Yeah.
It's very fun.
And latches.
Yeah.
Latch.
The whole thing has everything that you'd ever thought would be super unnecessary in a door.
So this is sort of the main hangout area.
Yeah, this is the living room. This table seats 6, and the chairs are kind of played with the lucite. It allows for more transmission of light, and I think in this space it's important. It really is kind of a neat little room. I've been able to do a lot with it over time.
To see, and actually here you're seeing that neighbor.
Yeah, exactly.
And then actually the shape keeps getting wider?
Keeps getting wider, yep. Okay. So it just keeps angling out there. Original hardware for the most part on the knobs, which is kind of a fun, I mean, they're a risk because they, you know, turn in there. But I couldn't give up. This is a fun feature. This is obviously a closet, but there's a window in the closet. Yeah. Right? Why not? This little bathroom, I think the original pieces are the tile, the floor. It's, I mean, obviously angled, so you get an interesting situation with the doors because there's just no other way not to have, you can't put the toilet at any other angle.
So you have to have the door closed in order to go to the bathroom.
Right. It's just that it's going to hit this toilet. There's not enough room. But you get used to it. It doesn't really, it's enough of a tub, it's enough of a shower, it's enough of a bathroom. And it's a good little bathroom.
Bedroom size then is...
Yeah, queen size bed and obviously 2 dressers.
So here you see, again, like the house and how close it is. So, I mean, can you imagine somebody saying, well, I'm divorced from my spouse and I'm going to move right within like 10 feet of...
Yeah, I mean, notably in that day and age, and frankly, until way too late, women couldn't get their own credit for a lot of reasons, and they couldn't purchase property without a male cosigner. So it's entirely possible, I think that was until 1974, that you didn't earn your own credit while you were married as a female in the US. And so I imagine she went, well, I own it, and therefore I'm going to use it because I don't have a whole lot of other choices. That's my guess.
Yeah.
That wouldn't be dumb.
Right. So it's like, well, this is the only property I can own.
Yeah. We forget that there were limitations. Like, we didn't have the same choices we do now when it came to property ownership, or for that matter, home ownership. And a lot of the tools that you would have used to build a home or buy a home back then weren't available. So maybe she got creative. I don't know. I like to think that I get to channel her by being here. If she was really who the story says she was very scrappy. Yeah. I mean, what a creative way to use this lot, for that matter. And it's a 2-story home that's not connected. So there's no internal staircase. Everything top to bottom is outside. And just walk in here. This is why I call the downstairs the boat, because the bed is like a captain's bed in a boat, which probably not for everyone, but plenty of space. You can get up there pretty easily and climb back. It's enough that somebody can sit. I mean, I'm 5'3", so, you know, I've got a little headspace. Somebody taller might not. But yeah, it's a full-size bed. You're not without enough space to sit. Yeah. And then you can just scooch yourself off. I mean, I feel like people have worse setups in college, at university, right? Yeah. They cram themselves all the way to the ceiling and make it work for rent. But yeah, this has been pretty good.
So that's interesting. So you're at the tip of the pie.
Yeah, at the tip of the pie. But it's cozy. Yeah, and I mean, nicely, you know, there's a decent amount of road noise because it's a pretty busy street, but down here you do not hear it. And it's also quite a bit cooler down here.
So what's that little box looking?
This is a waste pipe head, but it's not active. It was cemented shut with a bolt on top that you would have pumped at some point. I'm glad we don't have to do that now. Yeah. There's actually another fun little...
Oh, wow, look at that.
Ah, there's the, that's the electrical panel for the downstairs. I mean, everything's got a place down here. But yeah, it's been just kind of hidden behind the painting.
Open closet.
Yeah. Closed closets are more of a recent build thing. There's more storage behind the curtain, which is nice for seasonal things.
So at the
no windows at the back. Yeah, that's under the porch.
So how wide is it back there? Yeah.
So 55 at the very back.
And that's the whole house.
That's the whole house at that point.
So it's a bed. It's a bed that fills up the entire
basically a bed
space of the house.
Yeah. This is a full-size bed, so you're talking about 5 feet essentially right here, and then it widens out. So we're probably looking at 6 feet here at the base. And then it just keeps going from there. This looks like it's about 8 feet. So I joke that that if you can live on a boat, you can live in this house, because this is a captain's bed by nature of how it's built. It's just the same way you would see a bed built into a large vessel. The captain usually sleeps in the hull on a wide bed. And so I joke that this is the boat floor and the upstairs is the normal floor. Here we go.
What is this? What was this? I mean, look almost like barn doors.
It's carriage doors. Yeah, they're carriage doors. This was a garage originally, so the carriage doors are original. I stripped them and painted them.
So this is back when
you, like, hypothetically, your carriage went in there. And they both opened. It's a little harder to open this one, but you really can open this up and sit on the patio here and enjoy a coffee if you wanted to.
So then it just flush with the ground?
Yeah, the belief is that this was the garage and probably used as a garage for the better part of the life of the home. This is the bathroom.
So the bathroom's like a wedge as
Yeah,
well.
It's a wedge. Yep, you got it. It's another cheese wedge. I mean, I often refer to this house as a little wedge of cheese in Montlake. So washer, dryer, and a utility space, just a little guy, 23 inches wide, does the job. There's a good amount of light down here. We built in the benches, so there's storage there, which has been fun. And this is also part of the foundation, so I mean, it's a solid, I'm working with solid pieces of cement that I can't move or plow through. Little kitchen table, enough seating to hang out.
And this is all.
This is built in, yeah. It's a press. There we go. Yeah, but like storage for sheets and towels.
That's smart.
Yeah. One of my early learnings in my small place in New York was that if it's not built in, it can move into your space. So the benefit of the built-ins is it kind of holds your space plan. Clearly, keeping the table here keeps you from hitting your head. Yeah.
I like the fact that you put you use this resource here, this mirror.
Yeah, to reflect the light. Yeah, the lighting in this house is key because your windows aren't huge down here especially, but it really pulls in the light reflecting off of the outside walls. Makes you not feel like you're in a boat.
And you made it with what you had.
I was fortunate to grow up with a father who worked in construction for at least some portion of his career, and so he passed down some knowledge, enough to make me feel overconfident to try. But I will say that the plague of the DIYer is it's always twice as much time as you think it's going to be. The fateful words of it's just, right? It's just this. It's just a weekend. It's just a little bit of trim. You just never know. We've learned a lot going through this process. But very happy with the outcome. We had family staying here last year for a couple of months, and there was a family of 5 and 2 dogs and 2 cats. And they made this space, 2 floors, work.
Wow.
Wild. I would say we hit the maximum capacity of the boat. They had like a 10-year-old. This is a chair that folds out into a bed. So we had a 10-year-old that slept on that, and there was a 13-year-old in the full-size bed in the back and the queen-size pull-out. And this was the kids' floor, and the parents had the upstairs, and that was good enough. They made it. My husband and I joke that when our daughter gets to high school that we might move back into the Spite House so she doesn't, if she goes to school in Seattle, she wouldn't have to commute and we could have a fun couple of years living small again. Yeah. TBD. I feel like when you live in a home like this, you're the steward because the home's going to turn 100 in 2 years. And in a way, I just feel like it's mine for now.